Here's a very nice old fuzz face that came in about a 1969. It's got a change switch, but otherwise it's very original. But it didn't work at all. So the first thing I do when I get a pedal like this in is you always want to do the least amount of things you can possibly do to fix a pedal. So you want to keep it as original as possible. So without even hooking up power, you can at least test the bypass. So I put it in a loop box to see if it would bypass, and it wasn't. There was no sound when I would click it on. So I basically looked through the wiring, and I noticed you got your input jack goes to this lug and your output jack goes to this lug, and there was no way for them to get connected because someone forgot the jumper. So I added the jumper here, and then I got my bypass like that. So that was good. Then I measured the capacitors, because these electrolytic capacitors often will go out of spec. So I just wanted to make sure that they were at least reasonable, and they actually measured really good. So then I decided, okay, let's try to hook up the battery and see what would happen. Well, I hooked up the battery, but I could hear some sound. When I turned the fuzz up, I could hear noise, but there was absolutely no guitar signal. So what I did is I pulled out my trusty signal tracer, which is basically a jack with a wire on it with a capacitor on the end. So you basically plug that into your amplifier. That's going to the amp. And then your ground wire, hook up to a ground spot here. And then you can trace the circuit and see where we're losing signal. So, whoops, got our input jack. Okay, we're getting signal there. Goes over to the switch. And then I was checking on the circuit board and I wasn't getting any signal there. So I decided to pop the circuit board off, and I noticed this red wire wasn't really soldered too well. So I stripped it, resoldered it, hooked it back up again, and then I was getting my signal to the board when the pedal's on. So then I decided, okay, let's try to power it up. So get rid of the signal tracer, plug it back in normally, and put the battery up. And we've got fuzz. The knobs work. It doesn't sound real good. Here's what it sounds like. You can see what the bias voltages are on it. It's got, you can see the meter here. Silicon, you're always going to have like 1.3 volts bias. So there we go, whoops, let's see if you can see that. Move this up. So first transistor, nice, 1.38, that's pretty good. We could change that resistor, but it's probably close enough. Then check the second one, and it's 3 volts. The Eric Johnson one is kind of low like that, but it doesn't really sound good for most people. So what I decided to do is take a potentiometer, this is a 25K, and tack it on the bias resistor in parallel to decrease the resistance and increase the voltage. So tack that on, and you can hear what's going to happen. It adds low end and some girth to it. So there's much better sound. Now we'll see what the voltage is, and we can dial it in with the potentiometer. And there we go, 4.88 volts. That's actually pretty damn good. So I'm not even going to adjust that. I'm just going to find a 25K resistor, put it on the bottom of the board, attach it to that resistor, and we'll have the thing all biased up, and it should be good to go. I'll just change the switch. I found a Mexican switch that looked kind of like a fuzz face switch, same size and layout, but it said made in Mexico on it, so I just removed that with some acetone, and we'll put that in there, the resistor for biasing, and we'll have a really good, as original as possible, 69 fuzz face. Hope you liked it.